Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on which part of the world you're in. So it's 11 o'clock and we will start. We just need to give people more time to come in. So maybe let's give them 2 more minutes so that we can get started. Ram, can you please share the link with Kevin? He's asking for it.
Yeah.
And Takalani. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Astro4Dev Full Moon Mashups. So it's the second one for this year. And we're excited that you could all join us again. And those who are joining us for the first time, welcome. So today we are going to have a very interesting discussion about the impact of mega astronomy infrastructures on rural communities. But before we get started, for those who are not familiar with the Office of Astronomy for Development, I would like for Ram to give us a short introduction. Oh, sorry, where are my manners? I am Joyful Mdluli. I am a postdoc here at the Office of Astronomy for Development, and I work with some of our flagship projects. So Ram, if you could please give us a short introduction on the OED. Sorry, Kevin's not here.
Hello, hi everyone. My name is Ram. I also work at the OAD. If you haven't heard about the OAD, our mission is to use astronomy to create a positive impact on society. We are an office of the International Astronomical Union in partnership with South Africa through the National Research Foundation and the Department of Science and Technology and Innovation. So we do a lot of things, including a global grants program. So we'll post links on in the chat later. Other than that, we have focus areas called flagships. So astrotourism is one of the flagships. Joy can give a brief introduction now. Yeah, there's lots of activities going on, and if you have any interest in applying astronomy for societal benefit, we encourage you to get in touch with us.
Thank you, Ram, for keeping it very short and brief. So today's guest, we have Dr. Daniel Mokhohlane, who did his PhD focusing on the topic of the impact of mega astronomy infrastructures on rural communities. So his specific focus was on the Northern Cape region, where they host the Southern African Large Telescope, as well as the Square Kilometre Array. He is the Deputy Director at the Department of Science, Technology, and Innovation under the Cyber Infrastructure Department. So without wasting any time, Dr. Daniel, you may take over and give us a bit of information about your research. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mdluli. I will share the presentation and we'll take it from there. Let me share. Let me know when you can see it.
Okay, well. At the moment, we see it as the presenter side, so you just need to switch displays, I think.
Switch displays.
By display settings, yeah. Ram, how do you normally do this? I remember you actually once told someone how to do it.
I think right at the top where it says display settings on your screen, just click on that.
Display settings.
Right.
So right at the top,
Yeah.
where there's also
And can you
slide
swap?
mode.
Oh, you can't
Yeah.
swap.
You can't swap. Let me.
Can't swap.
Okay. Let me just get out and because earlier I
it was perfectly fine a few minutes ago.
yeah. Let me. I think let's start it again. So we can start again. I think it was an issue. I think it's okay now.
Yes, now it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. Okay. As Dr. Mokhohlane has introduced me, my name is Daniel Mokhohlane. Just graduated a few months ago. I wish to thank the Office of Astronomy for Development, OAD, for giving me this platform to share my research. And all of you guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for choosing to be here today to be part of this. Before I go any further with the presentation, allow me to share with you a short synopsis of what shaped this study, this course, and how it evolved to be what it is today, and the insight that I've gained along the way. As many of you here may be aware that embarking on PhD study journey could be both thrilling and daunting. Shortly after my admission at Wits, I was tasked with compiling a short proposal of about 5,000 words to present to the school. I think the purpose of that was to understand exactly what is it that I wanted to do, so that they can be able to allocate a relevant supervisor. Once the proposal was ready, I presented it to the panel. It was during that presentation that I encountered one pivotal question that will resonate with me throughout the journey that shaped the whole study. One of the panelists asked me a question. I quote, "Mr. Mokhohlane, please tell us what is the epistemological issue or question that you are trying to address in your proposed study?" Close quote. At that moment, I was taken aback because I had no clue what the term epistemology meant, nor could I articulate my thoughts in response to the question. Even today, I still remember clearly the rush of anxiety as I asked for clarification. He explained, but I don't think that really helped, because in explaining, he emphatically said, I quote, "Mr. Mokhohlane, this should be an academic study. Hence, you should be dealing with epistemology, philosophy of knowledge, ontology, what is really knowledge, considering reliability and validity of your knowledge. Also, you cannot do without axiology, the value and ethics of that knowledge." And he even said, you also have to give us the pedagogy of of knowledge. How is this knowledge going to be shared or disseminated? He continued, is there anything new in your proposed study? And what is the contribution to the body of knowledge? I was so confused. Or he continued, or are you masquerading your study as an academic study while it is another consultant study similar to the ones that you just have shared with us? He further went, if that is so, you are in a wrong place, close quote. At that time, I agreed without hesitation. I was indeed in the wrong place. I had a feeling that this is the end of it all. To cut a short A long story short, I thought that was very harsh. But the good news is that the gentleman who asked me that difficult question later became my supervisor. Oh, I even forgot. I don't know what the answer I've given in that day. I can't tell you what did I say there. But the good thing is that that guy who asked the question became a supervisor. That question opened new realm of understanding for me, highlighting the importance of engaging with epistemology, ontology, axiology, and pedagogy in the academic research. I was challenged to reflect on what I truly sought to uncover in this study, urging me to differentiate between genuine academic inquiry and consultancy work. Despite my initial discomfort, this challenging interaction ultimately led me to find my supervisor, who held my hand throughout the journey. Years later, while I was trying to impress him with the jargon of epistemology, ontology, axiology, and pedagogy, to my surprise, that is the same gentleman who also taught me that I should by no means avoid academic jargon, especially when I'm writing, because simplicity is key. What a paradox. I thought I've got it all. Today, I want to clarify to you, ladies and gentlemen, that this study that I'm going to present today is not an impact assessment study, nor evaluation study, as the title may suggest. Rather, it delves into the very essence of impact itself. It's a study of impact or lack thereof impact, exploring complexities, synergies, dissonances, paradoxes of development in marginalized societies. Through this presentation, I aim to shed new light on development theory and its practical implication for rural development. The research grapples with relationship between mega astronomy infrastructure projects and economic development in rural communities, particularly in the Northern Cape. I'll do that by triangulating quantitative data with qualitative data, both from Meerkat, Nexus SKA, and SOL projects. It seeks to contribute unique to body of knowledge, particularly in developing framework for mega astronomy infrastructure project aimed at fostering rural development. From that philosophy, from my supervisor, simplicity is a key. We therefore tried to avoid jargon as far as we could, academic jargon as far as we could. I hope we have succeeded in making that this thesis easy read. However, you will be the judge of that. I then hope most of you here got hold of the copy. Otherwise, I don't think we'll be in this in this forum, so that we can be able to have an engagement. If not, please request it from the Office of Astronomy for Development or myself through the ResearchGate website, my ResearchGate website. Your critique will be highly, highly welcomed. Now that all is out of the way, let's get into the business of the day, which is the presentation. I think now, with all this, I wanted to make a difference and distinction between an impact study and academic study, so that at least when we start rolling onto this the presentation, we understand that I was not merely on doing an impact study or evaluation study. It was hence studying an impact within that. Hence, I used a lot of information that I got and all the material that was written before, so that we can at least theorize that information that we got. Then the overview of this presentation, as I said, part of it, what I've said as a synopsis, is it forms the background of the study. And then I'll do the literature, because literature is very important. It guided us into what is it that we wanted to do. Then, because as I said, it's an academic study, there will be research methods. And then I'll share with you the results, the findings. And lastly, I'll do the recommendation and conclusion. This slide is just to show what is it that we were doing. It's a physical setting of our research, of my research. There were 3 local municipalities that we look into, which is the two of those municipalities is where these mega projects are happening. But then we needed to have a comparison group, a municipality that nothing of that kind or no astronomy is happening there. Then I remember our first meeting with my supervisor where we were trying to find out which other municipalities that we can look into, because we need a comparison group in our study. We look at a map where the only logic that the logic that we used in that time was that let's get the municipality that is far from all these municipality that is far from, and we found that it's a Jomorolo municipality. It was quite far. This is the municipality. It's far from all other municipalities, Karabeg municipalities, Mokhohlane municipality. That was the reason at that time why we chose, because we thought even if the spill off of the impact from other municipalities, it might be not of such an extent to have got to that municipality. Little did we know that even though there wasn't astronomy happening there, but there was a mining activities happening there. And that worried us a lot. But it wasn't warranted to change that municipality. Why was that the case? Is because we found that there are about more than 10 mining houses activities happening in that area. And as we know, as a South Africans, how mining did to rural development. And that is not what we wanted to see, because the town are left as shanty towns, and we know subsequently what is happening presently, that having ghost towns, absence of rehabilitation, issues of land reforms, post-mining migration. That was a bad choice for rural development, but we continued because we really wanted to see what can come out of that. So the other things is that there were a lot of issues that came up there, as I said, but which is not the scope of this research that we didn't discuss. As I said, those issues that are as a result of mining, the zamazamas and all those, we didn't discuss that because it wasn't the scope. But those are the issues that we grappled with in Jomorolo. But it wasn't important for our study, but we thought we could actually pick them up. Okay, I was trying to go to another slide. So the objective of this study as well is based on the questions that we were definitely asking, is to determine the development of economic infrastructure in Karabeg local municipalities and Mokhohlane local municipalities as a result of mega astronomy impact infrastructure projects. We were looking at the last 20 years. I think now it's 10, because it was around 2021 or so. Looking the past 20 years, looking from 2001 to 2021. The reason also we chose that is because there was a rich data from census as well, because we were also going to use census data. The second objective was to determine if there was improvement of employment rate in those two municipalities. I wouldn't talk of the third municipalities, as you know, it was just to compare with what is happening there. Then the third was to improve improvement of education in those two local municipalities. We want to check if education has improved, but as a result of MAPES. Also to determine the development of astrotourism in those both municipalities. We couldn't do without also looking at the perceptions of the people residing in those municipal perception concerning these mega infrastructure projects. Then, as I said, the most important thing then was to gather literature and go through the literature, because our work was not necessarily to look whether there is there is an impact or not. But then we wanted to find out, because we were going to study it anyway, even if there is lack of impact, because we wanted to formulate a theory out of this. And as the things that we determined that we were looking for in the literature was research knowledge gap. We were concerned to look for research knowledge gap. What is a research knowledge gap in all literature that we have? And then we also wanted to formulate the conceptual and theoretical framework. And then we found out, because there was so much literature that was written, especially through the studies that were done and through policy briefs and reports. And then we said, because we have so much literature that is not peer-reviewed literature, and we need it in our study, we then said, let's put it together, club it together as a great literature, and then also look at the scholarly literature and try there to find out if there will be synergies or dissonances in that. So that was very important, clubbing, differentiating this literature because of what we wanted to do. Then this is type of literature that, especially gray literature from 2007, probably, that we found. And these are the important ones that I put here. There were also many other things. I didn't put probably reports or policy briefs. These were reports, but other reports. There were many reports as well. So from 2007, chronologically up to 2023, we go through those reports and what they are saying. And what we found in this report, even though I'm going to discuss it lengthy in the discussion, is that they were almost saying the same thing, that there is indeed impact. There is impact, and there's a promise of impact because of these projects and all that. We haven't found any report that came out negative, totally negative, that we're not going to see impact at all. So that was what fascinated us. And this is just the continuation of those reports. And the last report, which was compiled, and I was partly part of it because my boss, former boss, Dr. Adams, may his soul rest in peace, was part of it and driving it with others. So he actually interviewed me. I think I was at the end of my study. I also got to be interviewed for that. And I included it because I actually waited for that report to see what it will reflect into that, because there were many issues that I discussed with him that I got also from my studies that I thought maybe he might be able to take those. But I realized also it agrees, they all agree with all other reports that were there before. Not that my study was totally against, but there were issues, phenomenons that I raised with him that I thought they could have been addressed. And I wouldn't say they haven't been addressed, but I realized overall the study was quite similar to the other. It was positive as other studies. So now we went to peer review literature. This literature, we also classified it as well according to the ones that say there's an impact and the ones that are against, that there's no impact. And these are a few that we read, but these are the ones that were clear. As I said, when I start with the objectives that I had there, that these are the literature. It either speaks of education or economic infrastructure or astrotourism. And now we look at those that are positive. As I say, this is just to give a feel that there were those that were positive and say, indeed, there was an impact, or there will be an impact or anticipated impact. And there was those that were very negative about the development there, and negative, they give negative, what should I say? They were just negative about the impact of this project. And then they were very important because we also wanted to delve down and delve deep and find out why are they so negative about what is it that is happening. I think I'll also discuss that toward the end of this presentation. What is it that we found out? And then in a research gap, what we realized or we found out after going through that literature review, we found that there were theories, a lot of theories. The theories were about development and all. And remembering that these projects are not developmental projects, even though there's that expectation that there should be an impact or there should be development. So the theories were more based on purely development projects. And we didn't have anything specific for this project. So that we saw as a gap. And then because of the synergies and dissonances as well, we say how, especially going to peer-reviewed literature, why people can be so different. Why is that so? Looking at one thing, meaning that they were using different lenses, but at that time we didn't know what are those lenses that they were using to look at one thing, but yet see the negativity in that, while others see the positivity. Then we also strongly felt that we needed to develop a framework or a framework for this, because there was none existent at that time. And then we had to develop a problem statement that was developed through from the nuances of that study or that literature that we found. And as we say, our paradox was based, we found there was a paradox that we can expect these scientific gadgets that their mandate is to pursue science, that they can also be given a mandate to develop. And then we found that that's a paradox, because actually that is what we all expected. And then we found that there is a development versus non-development issue that we need to deal with as well, and deal with the expectation of the people on the ground and everybody else expecting this astronomy gadget to have an impact on development. Then we also find there was so much synergy in Cray literature. Cray literature was giving promise on development, that indeed these are developing or should develop. And part of peer literature as well was agreeing with that Cray literature. Hence, we said there was part of peer-reviewed literature that agree with the Cray literature. But some of literature was really, that's where we derived the dissonances in there, because they were not seeing any, and there was not even the promise of development that they could just point out. And then these are the conceptual, when we build our conceptual frameworks, we take all, or most, I wouldn't say all, most rural development theories and put them together and classify them, because we wanted to find out what is, because we, at that time, in absentia of rural development theory as a result of the MAPES, we needed to find out which one can we use. Then we went through rural development theories, which I think it's about 8 of them that we try to analyze, and we also look at their strategies. We also got to the models, rural development models, and we wanted to see the compatibility through the between the theory and the models, and look at which one. And then we did that by using a classification of exogenous and endogenous type of those models. And then we look at which one can be compatible to what we want, or close to what we want to do. Then, as I said, paradox also, it was derived due to the modernization theory, where modern theory is talking about, it's kind of like urbanization, because it's a rural place changing into looking like an urban, kind of, where there are lies everywhere, and there are those amenities that you can find in an urban setting, and which we didn't actually like, and we critiqued it a lot. And there were also other writers that critiqued a lot, that they want to, actually it's an European-centric way of doing things, that everything to look developed should look like an Europe. But we were totally against that, because we are saying we should look as an African, but yet develop. So the question was, how do you then say this is an African development? Then we found what is a Gandhian philosophy. Gandhian philosophy was quite good to actually bring us closer to what we wanted to do. And then we also find an African Renaissance movement that talks of African development without losing the Africanism, or rural development without losing that rurality. It still remain as rural but developed. And how will that look like? Well, what is it that we can say this rural area is developed but still a rural area? Because there's so much that rural has to give. So we can't change rural into being an urban. And then we say this rural area has been developed. Can't we develop rural area while it still remain as rural area? Because that is very good for astronomy, because you know that you can't do astronomy successfully in an urban area. Hence, we ran to the rural area. So we wanted astronomy to thrive in rural area, while rural area also developing. But we couldn't do that development through modernization, because that will be totally different. The opportunity of astronomy will diminish as well. So we also, what was important as well, we got to the theory of change as well. Because we wanted a theory that can bring these things together, and that can speak to those, the descending voice and the ascending voices. And then we thought a theory of change will actually help us, because we realized that sometimes societal impact is actually a long term, but we sometimes expect it so quickly, and it might not be there. They might be telling us the truth that is not there because it hasn't been there yet. Probably we are at an output stage, or we haven't reached at an impact stage. And then this pyramid diagram just shows us how these things work and how difficult it can be also to get to an impact, and how we control that we might not be able to control that impact by ourselves, because it's not easy to control that impact. We are able to control impact at an activity level, output level, and probably at outcome level. As we go up, that control diminishes as well. And is it correct to judge the implementers as the people that can impact? That was the question also that we have. And we said maybe we should find another method how to measure this impact issue. So this is a simplified. I think those who have gone through my thesis, they have got the real more how we did this, just to give a feel, guys, that how that theory of change works, and with those theories that Gandhian theory of philosophy and all that. And this is just to give a feel how we did that, because you see at the end, we just have to get the rural developed. But there are so many things that are happening, and it doesn't mean these projects are not doing well. There are things that the outputs are there. We see the outputs, but we cannot say the outputs are really impact. And there will be intermediate outcomes as well. Can we say they are impacts? There might not be. And you find that this project gets to be misjudged because the impacts are not there, but it's doing so well. As I said, one of the intermediate outcomes is science for us, and to observe the stars and see and come up with new scientific interventions and all that, which those interventions also help at the impact or societal level at a later stage. So time was very important. And how much time, nobody knows. And that is the question that we still have. How long should it take? But the other guy that I was interviewing said sometimes impact can even outlive all the project, while we have even forgotten about that project. But is it the route that we want to take? No, that is not the route. We want to see the impact while we're still alive and we can boast about. So let me go to then research method that I used to do that. And then we definitely realized that we can't use one type of research method. We need mixed method research, because we are looking at a multi-prone problem. Then looking at multi-prone problem, we need multi-prone strategy. And we thought that if we use a convergent parallel mixed method will help. It's where qualitative and quantitative are used all at the same time. And then we try to triangulate that quantitative data and qualitative data and see. And then we further used qualitative data to delve deep into issues that we want to see and check that we are not so clear at the first alteration. What happened in this study was a survey where a randomized sample was done, and we also did observation through focus groups. We also did interviews, both randomized and purposive sampling. At some stage, we did a purposive sampling because we wanted to only check from a certain group of people, what is their feel about that. And something like 606 questionnaires were administered. This was the one that was successful. We had around more than that. I think we had about, probably it was 650 or so. But then those that came back and we were able to put in our analysis were 606. And one can ask, how did you get to this 606 questionnaire? We actually used statistical formula or table because we looked at the population, the whole population of the areas that we are looking into, and then use that statistical formula to get to what are numbers that we need before we get to saturation that we need to use, especially for a qualitative study. Then we administered, well, we got back from Karabakh local municipality 304, and which was not that far from Mokhohlane municipality 302. And then we did, deliberately, we did 60 interviews as well, 60 interviews, 30 to 30. This one, the amazing thing is that we were just calling people and find people that are available in the areas, and those that decline our invitation to come to the interview will replace them, because a number 60 was very important to us. We didn't want to have something less than that, 30-30. So we keep on replacing people that are not there. Or others we call for interview and they don't seem to be interested, or in the middle of the interview, they don't want to continue the interview. So we will just have to replace them. And then we had follow-up interviews as well, 25 interviews. These were the phenomenons that emerged while we continuing the study, and we say, let's follow them. Let's dig a little bit deeper to find that, because those were phenomenons that we were interested in. And then this is the characteristics of our sample. It was youth. We are actually interviewing or administering our questionnaire between at youth. And how did we classify our youth? It was 18 up to 35. Then we said this is our youth. And then the adults were anybody beyond 35. We also got disabled people, but from 18 onwards, and community leaders, such as, I know there are no chiefs in those areas, except in the area that was Jomorolo. And then the farming members as well, business people. We look at guest houses, hotels, shop, and construction companies. Those all were classified as business people. And we also look at people working for these projects, because that was very important to define what is it that we want to check, because we found that, especially when we continue with our analysis, that there was the people that felt that they impacted and this project are impacting mostly are the ones that are directly benefiting. But those who are indirectly, or even those who are indirectly benefiting, could feel that there's an impact. Somebody who's not at all benefiting from this project will see this project as not impactful, even though there are people around. And the other question we'll ask them is, do you know anybody that has, they will say yes, they will still agree that they know somebody who's working there, who's impacted, but they still feel that this project is not impactful. And then the question was, now, why do you want it to impact you or your family before you can realize that it has an impact? Then they will be stunned when we ask such questions. But if people were not impacted, they will be adamant that the project haven't impacted them. And we realized that they were also confusing this project or mistakenly taking this project as a developmental project. And we thought probably there's a lack of knowledge there to people and awareness that basically this project can impact, but they are not developmental projects. They are science projects. If they impact, but they might not impact everybody. And then you have to look holistically, who do they impact? And we also now, while we're delving deeper into our discussion or our research, looked at people working for DSI, it's DSTI now. I think I need to change that, but then it was still DSI. NRF, we also interviewed some, it was a purposive sampling here where you look at people that you want to talk to. And Sarah, we talked to a few people, and Sao as well, so that we can get a feel about issues and delve deeper into these issues. These are the results and findings of our research. And then, as I said, the main questions that we actually were using there was these 4 questions, even though there was also a perception part of it, because we also trying to find the perception of the people about these projects. And then you can see the community members, especially using qualitative and quantitative, most of them we find that they were not happy with the projects. Projects were not impacting them. That's what they said. That's what the research said. And as I said, there was synergy even in qualitative as well. Data was agreeing with quantitative data. So most community guys, the men working on the streets, most of them weren't happy. That huge and big a sample that we took, most of them weren't happy. And now we came to the people who work for the project. Obviously, you can understand it was a qualitative study. It's people that work and they are directly impacted. They are happy with the project. Project is doing the good job. And Leonard Society as well. They are very happy. And then we go to grey literature. I put these ones together intentionally, because we realized that great literature also, they were taking most of their literature from the project employee, not all, but most, and from Leonard Society as well, because we said Leonard Society are those people that are working in those organizations that are involved with astronomy. But they were happy. So this didn't surprise us. It actually confirmed our hypothesis that how they collected their data. And then we go to peer-reviewed literature. And then we found that, as you know, that others were happy, others were not happy. And then we were left with studying this further to find out, these guys that were happy, how did they derive their data? How did they get their data and analyze it? And those people who are really happy as well. And then we didn't, this also confirmed, confirmed our suspicions. That mostly we found that data is collected around this area, or smaller part of data here. And then we got to census as well. Census, as we had hoped for, we were disappointed because we couldn't really be able to derive a response there, because whatever that was happening in KLM was happening in KHLM, even in that municipality, that was just for that to compare. We found that there was an increment. The good thing was increment, but we couldn't confidently be able to say the economic increase, is it because of our astronomy gadget? We couldn't just say that. Then we ended up saying probably it's a combination of many other things, because even the other municipalities. But as I said at the beginning, that municipality was already tinted because there was so many economic activities happening there. As I said, there were more than 10 mining houses that were doing something, one or one on the other on that municipality. So we were not, now this thing, we were not so sure what is actually happening. Then we said these are inconclusive results and they will remain as inconclusive because they can't help us with what we wanted to do. Then let me share with you a few of the perceptions that I think stood out. There are many that we addressed in the document. What we found as perception is that even people who are coming to do projects or to help people in there, the community is necessarily not part of it as per se. This is a top to bottom strategy that's been deployed there. People are being told this is the project you're gonna be, but they are not being asked, what is it? They are not actually equal partners in that project. We go to them and then to implement whatever that in our aircon offices we have discussed, and we find that it will be relevant because we have seen 1, 2, 3. So, but then having taken them through and saying, what is it that you need us to help with was actually lagging. And we found out that people also misunderstood the project, as I said. Those that were very angry with the project, they totally misunderstood what is the purpose of the project. They were actually thinking that this project was supposed to be here to help us, and it's not helping us. They don't care about the science of that project. They're only concerned with this project. We are told, we are promised that is going to help us. You see, we're still the same as before, and the project is here. So we thought that is misunderstanding, and then people need to be given awareness. What are these projects? What is the main mandate of this project? And this actually it ties up with this, that minimal consultation with the community as well, because they don't even understand the developments that are happening with this project. There'll be few, those who work there do understand, but majority of people don't understand. And there was a strong feeling that there's no transparency. And I think this tied to each other, that people are not consulted and all that. And information is not regularly provided about new developments. And some didn't even understand when people get hired and when do people, how do jobs get advertised and all that. And as I said, these are the tied to each other, minimal involvement to community. They will have liked to really get much involvement. And also the bursaries. The other query that we find that though the project provide bursaries to students, and most of them, especially the first year level, fail and they don't succeed. And they so wish that there can be a support for those ones. You can just imagine that those people that are from the poor of the poorest, we lose them in the system if they fail their first year, and then they have to go and repeat the same year and funding themselves, and their parents don't have means. That's the end of them. And we thought if there could be some kind, we suggested a lot of things that can be done in support of those, even things that cannot cost money, like peer support, those who have succeeded, supporting those who are studying and having peer that take them through their studies, especially the first year. That's where we found that there was a problem. And then we developed this model. This is a model that we developed. It's quite, we call it new, but I want to tell you and declare to you, it's not new. It's a combination of work of other people that we acknowledge that have done this. So, but because we have combined them, it's new to us because we brought it, but it's not new really. There's nothing that is new except that we use a theory of change, an advanced Martin-Dang base benefit method assessment. This was due to time. We took also aspects from Gandhian philosophy, Renaissance movement theory, and put them together and say, if we can look at this and we know when we do our assessment or evaluation, at what level are we evaluating this? Is it at impact level? But is it fair to do at impact level? So this model showing that and showing the time, that time also is very important. And we couldn't really come up with time that the model doesn't even define what that time is, because it's like time to infinity, which is unfair, because really we need to get this impact now. And that is the model that we brought, and it's quite clear and explained very well in the thesis. And
sorry, Daniel.
yes,
Maybe if you could wrap up so we can start the discussion session. Thank you.
Yes. Sorry, I think, yes. Yeah, then let's do recommendation. I think I'm at the end. There's only 2 slides left. The recommendation are the develop framework for the impact. We needed to develop that, but I think you guys also can come up with a critique on this, and we make it even better. And then we felt that stakeholder management is very important and is key. And collaboration also, because this project, as far as they cannot really fulfill all other things or the ills of the society, but you can collaborate with other organizations, and that can work in the same space that we are working in to fulfill those, even though it shouldn't be us. And also we found that governments that are doing different things are working in silos. We have department that also have to do development, and it will be unfair that DSI as well as a DSTI has to be expected to do that, as much as we can help and assist and in that, but it's not a commandate. Also, we have to manage closely community expectation, because otherwise sometimes we even thought that they're misled by the politician. When politicians fail to fulfill the mandate of government or what they stand for, now they point to these projects as them failing people. So we felt that is not fair. And we must have effective strategy to combat non-development, unemployment, poverty, and inequality in rural areas, because that is dire. And in conclusion, I think these are issues that I thought that maybe should not be regarded as developmental project. Hence, expected to fill and should not be expected to fill the gaps left by local. I think I've just said that. And to assist with coordinating. I think our capability will be assisting in coordinating other bodies that come and work with us in our own space. That I think can help. And we have a moral obligation to communicate our research results to the community, even though we do science and sometimes it's difficult. It's that jargon that I've started with when we start and all that. But we can find simple ways how we communicate, so that we take people along with us. When we say we have discovered this planet or whatever, they need to understand in simple layman's terms what that is. And I think we have to find strategies on how we do that. And I think I will end up, these are other things that I suggested. But the other thing that I also wanted to say, I think is the last one, to the community. We know, especially at Sutherland, that community computer lab that when we were there was not functional. And I don't know how it was handed to municipality to run it. And as a good thing, started as a good thing, but it came to be a white elephant in the community, you know. I thought that was a low-hanging fruit if we could have maintained that or find a way. I know it might be not, that shouldn't fall in the laps of the project to maintain these things, but I think if we could also find a strategy how these things cannot be a disappointment in the village, and that they're no more working, they're provided, but they're not working. Instead of being good to the community, they tend to be now not useful. So we need to find further what can be done around that. And these are the people I want to thank that helped in this study. And I hope I haven't disappointed you. I was not doing an impact evaluation, but these are the issues. We wanted to derive the theories out of this, and what is it that we can find that can actually talk to both sides. Thank you very much for your indulgence.
Thank you so much, Daniel. That was very insightful. There was a lot you shared. I feel like we didn't have enough time to unpack the whole thesis, but I hope.
I have the whole day.
Well, I don't think everyone else has the whole day. I don't think everyone else has the whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will open it up to anyone who has questions. You're welcome to raise a hand or you can leave your question in the chat. But yeah, please feel free to ask questions if you have any. Okay, well, I was actually talking to someone while you were talking about this. And interesting enough is that they also did their master's research around the Southern community. And one of the things they brought up was also the community center, like the community lab with the computers and stuff. So clearly there are studies that are being done by different people, and there's overlaps in what you see in these communities. But we'll take Benny's question. Benny has a hand up. If you could please unmute yourself.
Good morning. Thanks. I'll say Chairperson. And let me also thank Dr. Mokhohlane for the presentation. Mine is not a question, basically. It's just to acknowledge and enjoy the presentation. It really shows that this was your actual work. The passion that you showed during your presentation, it really shows that it's really coming from you. And I'm not what you call a scientist in the astronomy, but based on your interpretation on how you undertook your research, then you simplified it and it became easier on how you started, even though it was a little bit of a challenging when you started, but then we were able to grasp it and be able to conclude it in such a way that you've concluded it until you reach your end goal. So thanks very much for that. Thanks.
Okay. No, thank you, Mr. Nhlap. I call you top runner. I'll still stick to that. So for some reason of running the department. Yes, thank you so much. And for those comments, I'm happy. I don't know what to say. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, well, other people are still thinking about it. I actually do have a question as well. So like, I think you said that the study was not an impact study, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But is there any impact that was done by the mega astronomy infrastructures in these communities, one way or another? Like, were there any like positive outcomes in terms of what you got out of your research? Like, do people say that some part of this made a difference in their community, or was it just strictly? Because I saw on the table that you had that the community all had like sad faces and then everyone else was smiling. So does this mean that everyone in both communities that you like interviewed just didn't have any positive feedback in terms of how it was impacting them?
No, they have. Remember, as a research, especially when you do quantitative, it's just we end up saying community are not happy because the majority said that. But that does not mean, that's why we had to delve deeper. Because remember when I started, I said we were studying the impact or lack of thereof as well. We also had to study those, even if a smaller number, even, qualitative, even if they are, for example, we have 10 people who are interviewing and maybe 11 say they are not happy and 9, you'll take the 9, that's qualitative, and say, because the 11 say they are not happy, it means the community is not happy. But quantitative said you should also go into that 9 also to find out, because it's very important, the 9 that is happy. So I'm saying those results can be misleading if we take it that way, that communities, they were all sad. If we take it in that way, it's not good. But we know that there's part of that. It might be that there's a little bit more of those that were not happy. Then when we have to interpret, we said they were not happy. There were still those. That's when we even delve deeper into those that were happy. What is it to look at? Why are they happy? Hence, I said somewhere because they were directly impacted or they knew somebody that was impacted. So then we wanted to find out. And even those ones that were not happy, we needed qualitative study to see why are they not happy? Do they really, is really substantial things that are there that makes them not happy? So what I'm saying to you, it will be wrong to interpret it that way, that the whole community of KLM was not happy with. It's not that. There's part of it. And that's why we had to separate or to characterize this community so that we can go deeper and see what is it that is happening and get a deeper study on that. But because this is quantitative is about, if it's more, as I said, if we are 20 and we are 11, the 11 win. It's like politics, man. It's like voting. When we voted, it's not like all parties voted the winning party. But if it has majority, the majority wins, something like that. So to answer you, I think I've said a lot and I contradicted myself, is that there were a lot of significant part that were happy that they were impacted.
Okay, I hear you. And then, okay, so there is a question from Hubert. He unfortunately couldn't join on Zoom, so he's watching it on YouTube. So he sent me the question. It's first, he says he wants to congratulate you on your great achievement, and secondly, to commend you on the rigor and toughness of this research project. So the question is that in the conclusion, you are adamant that the MAIPs shouldn't be seen as instruments of development, given that they are funded from the fiscus, thereby competing with developmental needs more especially in rural areas. Doesn't it follow naturally that they also contribute to development? If so, shouldn't they incorporate a developmental mandate within their planning and implementation?
Yes, it's another colleague of mine. Yeah, that would be good if they but unfortunately at the moment it's not. It's one of the strategies we decide. We recommend that probably if from the beginning we can actually incorporate that mandate as well. But it should be clear from the beginning. It shouldn't be spill out things when we see we are already there. When we start, as things starts, that the other portion should be there. We recommend that as well, because it doesn't work if it's a spill out thing that we afterthought thing that we still have to help people. You know what I mean? And then, but if it can be at a conceptual stage, also brought into place. And I agree with Hubert that it's very important because you operate in the space. We want to avoid the issue that I've raised at the beginning of the mining, leaving the areas, surrounding areas as shanty towns, that we are now grappling with that at the moment. So we don't want 50 years down the line, when most of us maybe wouldn't be here, the people that are staying in those areas now become something else that is so negative. We want to leave a legacy that will be impactful and be sustainable throughout and outlive all of us, so that people can continue with their life and look back and say this. So mining towns now are bad, are really bad, and are dilapidated because there are no more mines. So we were also looking at the phenomenon of the mines, what they have done to our rural areas. So it will be good. I like what Hubert is raising. If we can incorporate that from the beginning and these things get to be clearer and there's a clear funding for that, that will be good.
And then I guess the follow-up question to that is, would then your but then would then your framework be able to sort of kind of advise in terms of what would be the best way to like consider the development of these communities, or is your framework not necessarily focusing on how we can actually use these instruments for development in these communities?
No, remember the framework that I built was in absentia of incorporation of development. It works in the present moment. But I think if that can be incorporated, the framework can be expanded. Probably can even be a different thing whatsoever because of that incorporation. So it was looking at the present, not the future. what is it that can be used in present?
Okay. Then we also have another question. Unfortunately, they sent it to me directly instead of the chat in everyone. It says, what are some of the potential negative social impacts of mega astronomy projects on rural communities, such as changes in social cohesion, increased inequality, or disruptions to traditional ways of life? And how can these impacts be mitigated? And this is from Miligeta.
I think, as we have suggested, that those can be impacted by strong stakeholder management, because if at the beginning everybody feels is a part of this and everything is getting to be considered, not that it's an afterthought, everybody comes to the table, even those traditionalists or whoever that is doing something there, and then this becomes part of this. That will be a very nice mix. They don't find themselves that here now is a project and we are no more able to do what we used to do and all that. I think at that time it's too late. But if they were there in a conceptual stage where they can be included and be part of that, everything will be sorted there. And then the compromises as well. And remember, it's not all that everything will be hunky-dory. At times, there will be compromises that need to be made, either by the projects or even the part of the community that concerned. So stakeholder management, strong stakeholder management will be able to tell us and pull that, and collaboration that we do with the rest of the society.
Okay, thank you so much. It's after 12 and we're supposed to stop at 12 o'clock. So
it's Anton
yes?
Beneman speaking. Sorry, I tried to put up my
yeah, we'll take the last question from Anton and then we'll wrap up the session.
I wasn't gonna get questions from Anton.
So I'm not gonna expand, but I think a lot of studies fail at the last point. And I'm going to be strategic or diplomatic in what I'm saying is, but I managed stakeholder relations while you were doing your PhD. And I differ from a lot of the findings that you put on the table. We've done follow-up studies on this specific stuff. Stakeholder management, both for SAO and SARAO, is crucial. And I want to make a comment to anyone who wants to do research, is also interview the facilities. I was not interviewed in this process. I was the stakeholder manager at that point. I subsequently moved away, but there's a lot of triangulation that would in a DSTI context. A lot of your findings is against what the minister says on podiums. So I would, it's more comment than a question, is that when we do research, we have a moral responsibility to also speak to the people who facilitate these things. And that was missed in this study because there's no feedback in terms of what has been done in these communities. So you would, specifically in a qualitative, from a qualitative perspective, get a lot of people who will say, we're not benefiting. But as soon as you look at the qualitative, quantitative data, like what's been spent, Carnarvon, 80% of people in Carnarvon directly benefit off the SKA. It has an impact on the broader GDP. So I just want to caution that when we're busy with research, this is done. But when we're busy with research, we have a moral responsibility to not just go and hear what communities says. Communities, and especially these communities, likes new ears. And they're going to raise issues that was issues in the beginning of the project and not necessarily at that specific point in time. So that's the only thing I miss. Otherwise, well done and a good PhD, and all the best forward.
Okay. No, thank you. And I'm so happy that you raised that. And it means the other part of the PhD that I missed is to raise discussions like that. So it's very good that there's that discussion and talk. Remember, PhD is not about pleasing anybody, whether it's a minister or whatever. It's about raising those discussions that you are raising. And it's rightfully so. You raise them and it's good that you raise them. And it can't be that you want everybody agree with you and say, hey, you did a good job. You need to have those, as I said, descending and ascending voices are very important in this academic study. So it's very important that you, Antonio, are raising that. And I think we'll write a lot of papers where you can critique this. And yes, that is it's a rich study that needs to be critiqued. And I'm happy that at least somebody like you is here and can really critique this study. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Daniel, and thank you to everyone for participating in this, because I'm really good at this. I'm going to pick on Kevin to please wrap up the session for us and we can call it a day. Kevin, I hope you're paying attention this whole time.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Yeah, should I do that one? It is coming. Sorry, guys. Let me. Can you see me? I'm in Ram's screen here.
Yeah, you just need to push him off
Thanks
the
very
screen.
much, everyone. Thanks, Joyful, for organizing, and thanks, Daniel, for all your contributions. I think this is an important topic, and hopefully you've stimulated enough thoughts that we can come back to you and keep the conversation going beyond this as well. Thanks especially, Joyful, for putting together everything. I think let's keep these conversations going, and hopefully, we can find more and more ways to work together so that we can ultimately find ways in which astronomy can make the world a better place. So thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day. Cheers.